Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet in Dubrook. I'm Mike Kilroy, Brock Jordan, Mike Kalinowski. We're going to talk a lot of football here tonight on the show. And before we go to our first break, I want to ask you guys, we're 4 weeks in, 4 games in. It's hard to believe it's mid-September. We're already at the almost halfway point this week. Game 5, it's the traditional, obviously, halfway point of the high school football season. What's your initial impression, Brock, of the first half of the season so far?
You know, I think the first half of the season so far, it's shown that the southern part specifically of District 9, I know we discussed this last week, it is very competitive this year. It's a lot of good games going on. You know, we've broadcasted kind of the Keystone Union, Keystone Central Clarion, just a ton of good teams, physical teams for sure, and it's just been a fun first month this year.
Yeah, Mike, you've seen some great games already this year. We've had some really competitive games on our broadcast schedule this year.
Yeah, it's been a lot closer than we've seen in the past. And looking at how the standings are too, it's kind of flip-flop. A lot of the teams that we normally see at the top have found their way maybe a little bit further down in the standings, and some of the teams that we've seen maybe a little further down in the standings have risen a little bit this year. You know, we've seen Union AC Valley and Keystone playing a little bit better this year. Punxsutawney is another team that comes to mind, sitting atop. Carn City playing well. Du Bois up there too. Port Allegheny's they haven't missed the step either. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's always nice when you have games, you get into that fourth quarter and you still don't know how it's going to go. So, and I know it's helped keep our viewers watching as well.
Yeah, I agree with you with the competitive nature of the games this year. Last year, there was a lot of Mercy Rule games. We had a number of Mercy Rule games on our broadcast. This year, that hasn't been the case. We've had competitive games. I've covered competitive games. Last year, I had a slew of Mercy Rule games that were 35-0 at halftime. This year, every game's gone into the fourth quarter. I've seen some great football. So it's very balanced, like you said. And the thing that sticks out to me is Union AC Valley and that defense. That defense has been incredible this year, holding down really potent offenses. They held Keystone, I think, 20 yards rushing, and every other game Keystone's been running all over everybody. They really controlled Redbank Valley's passing game and their offense. Redbank Valley, even though they're 1-3 or 2-2, they've been able to score some points on teams. So we're going to do our first break here soon. When we come back, we'll talk more football. We'll talk about some of the teams that have maybe surprised us, some of the players that have really emerged as stars in the county and in the KSAC and in District 9 as a whole. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet.
Redbank Chevrolet, Clarion County's trusted vehicle dealer. At Redbank Chevrolet, we're more than just a dealership. We're your neighbors, your go-to team for everything Chevy. From the moment you walk through our doors, we're here to exceed your expectations with unbeatable service, great selection, and a fun car buying experience. Stop by or schedule your visit today. Together, let's drive.
Since 1946, we've delivered. From commercial to residential, we've got you covered. We proudly serve and support our local communities. Call 844-DUBROOK or visit us online. Dubrook, your trusted ready-mix concrete supplier.
Good luck to all of our area teams from Clarion Ford Chrysler.
Local sales team. Local owners.
And remember to buy local at Clarion Ford Chrysler, where all your money stays to the local community.
At Clarion Forest VNA, we bring compassionate care to your doorstep. From skilled nursing to hospice services, we're here for you and your loved ones. Clarion Forest VNA, your trusted partner in home health care. Modern Living Solutions in Knox is always on the lookout for driven, positive individuals to join their team. They offer career growth opportunities and industry-leading pay. No experience is necessary as training is provided. Apply today and build a future with Modern Living Solutions.
You
can afford a gorgeous custom-designed hardwood Kales kitchen for a lot less than you'd pay at a DIY store. Go to FactoryDirectKitchens.net. At Kales, there are never middleman markups or hidden charges that can add 40%. Go to FactoryDirectKitchens.net. That's FactoryDirectKitchens.net.
For over 50 years, Carly Tire in Clarion has been keeping you rolling with quality tires for all your driving needs. And now, we're more than just tires. From state inspections to oil changes to brakes and total car care, Carly Tire is your one-stop shop to keep your vehicle safe and running smooth. Experience hometown service you can trust and quality you can count on. Carly Tire, the area's largest selection of tires. Stop in today and see why Clarion has trusted us for over 50 years.
Our focus has always been on you at Clarion County Community Bank. We're a full-service bank that offers the financial tools you need and the personal attention you deserve. You'll discover we're not just investing in our community, we're investing in you. Clarion County Community Bank.
Eyes are the window to your soul, so take care of them. The Laurel Eye Clinic provides complete care from annual exams, glasses and contacts to cataract and retinal surgery, LASIK, and more. As a trusted leader in family eye care for 50 years, you can trust them with yours. Call or visit us online today.
Need reliable plumbing or heating services? Call Luton's Plumbing and Heating. Fast, friendly, and available 24/7. Call them at 814-226-8695.
Welcome back to the Redbank Chevrolet Main Street Sports Show. Almost said it. Didn't say it. Almost said Redbank Valley. We're just talking about Redbank Valley. It's the Main Street Sports Show sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet. I'm Mike Kilroy, Brock Jordan, Mike Kalinowski. Well, guys, we talked a little bit in the first segment about kind of what our first impressions are, but let's dig a little bit deeper. Mike, we'll start with you, Mike. Some of our teams are really doing well. You kind of mentioned them. Punxsutawney's 4-0. Union AC Valley's 4-0. Keystone is right up there too, even though they had a tough loss to Central Clarion. Even Redbank, you can't count Redbank out at 2-2. I mean, they still have Braylon Wagner, they still have that dynamic offense. What do you see from some of these teams going forward who are either 4-0 right now or really good teams going forward here?
Well, I think a lot's going to be determined here even this week. We have Punxsutawney taking on Karn City, 4-0 against, and I believe I was looking at what Karn City is at 3-1.
3-1.
So I think a lot will be looked at in this game coming up. Is Punxsutawney going to be able to continue on with that? And Union AC Valley, I think there is a team, and you talked about them, and I mentioned it in the game that we had when they played Keystone. I like how Coach Reed goes about that team. He looks at his players. He's one of those guys, I think, he looks at his players and he knows what those guys can do, and I think he puts in play for those guys what they can be successful at. I don't think that he puts them in situations that I think that ask too much of them, where I think that it's going to push them to a point where they can't be successful.
Yeah.
But I think that they can perform within the realm that he puts them in, and I think they do well with that.
He's really, really playing to their strengths.
I think so.
Their strengths
really
are
do.
their offensive and defensive line. There's two running backs, Logan Skabinski and Max Gallagher, in that run defense, which is just smothering. They've turned everybody into a one-dimensional team. I mean, they played Cameron County last week. Cameron County loves to run the football. They turned them into a passing team because at one point, Cameron County just said, you know what, we can't run the ball. We're just going to have to throw it. So when you can turn a team into one-dimensional that way and make them do something they don't want to do, you're going to have a good chance to win, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, and then, too, you have a freshman quarterback in Andrew Kiefer.
Yeah.
Here's a kid that last year was playing junior high football,
Yeah.
comes up and, he seems confident in what he's doing. He's able to, hand the ball off to confident or to very competent guys. But then every now and then he allows them to get that pass, keep the defense honest. And, we saw him against Keystone, and he had the pass. It wasn't a deep pass, but he found his receiver, and then it was a long touchdown. But it wasn't anything that was out of the, something too difficult for him. But he performed it well. And I think that is really important too. He's keeping it where he's not getting overwhelmed by anything. And I think that keeps a young quarterback.
And they've showed a lot of trust in him. That's been important, right, for Union-Acey Valley. They showed trust in their freshman quarterback and not try to hide him, not try to protect him, not try to, make him feel like, well, we're going to win despite you. We're going to win because of you too.
Right. I talked to Andrew after the game. I believe it was against Redbank. No, it was Keystone, sorry. And, I talked a little bit with him about what he's been around that team for a long time now. He's kind of seen Coach Reed, how he runs the practices, how he's kind of been able to see the playbook. And he just said that it's kind of made everything so much more comfortable for him. And like you said, that's, especially as a young guy, a freshman, being comfortable at typically the most important position on the field usually is something that, a lot of coaches would love to have in a young guy. And I think that, it's really kind of bolstered them. Like Mike said, they're not having them do too much. They're just having them, make the plays that need to be made and then leaning on that fantastic 1-2 punch in the run game. And it's just been, they've had a great season so far, and they've really been a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I gave those two an assignment. I told them to come up with a nickname. So I hope if you guys are watching, come up with a nickname, because I haven't been able to come up with one, that I've liked. So kind of going back to Union-Acey Valley, they're blessed with some senior leadership that's just outstanding. Because they're kind of a strange team in the fact that they have a lot of experience at the top, a lot of youth at the bottom, and they're trying to meld those two forces together. And they've been able to do a great job of it because of A, coaching, and B, because those senior leaders have been really bringing those young kids along. And those young kids can play some football too, so their future is going to be bright. So they've been blessed with that. And that makes a world of difference when you have leadership like that at the top. Another team that has a lot of leadership at the top is Punxsutawney. Kind of mentioned them a little bit. They're 4-0. This is a program that not too long ago, they were really struggling to win games. They were 1 win, 0 wins, 2 wins. They've really changed the culture there. You guys saw them last week. You're going to see them again this week. They're an exciting team to watch, aren't they, Brock? Because they can do so many things offensively and defensively.
That's just it. Defensively, they have some guys that, you can tell they really love playing defense. And if you have guys that love playing defense, you're going to be successful as a defense. And then, Rutan, he had a great game against Central Clarion last week, and Maddox Hetrick at quarterback. He has a great arm, and when he's running the football, he's not afraid to lower the shoulder. And it just gives them sort of a diversity on the offensive side of the football that it's really hard to game plan against, and it just gives them a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, Hetrick reminds me of a high school version of Baker Mayfield.
I had the same comparison after
he's
watching
kind of built that way.
Week. Yep.
He's reckless and
I had
fiery
a chance,
like that.
Yeah, and I had a chance during media day. I had a chance to talk to the guys from Punxsutawney, and he even has that attitude towards them where, there was a quarterback battle brewing there in camp, and he kind of just said, wherever they need me to play, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it my 100%, and I'm going to go out there and help us win some games.
Yeah,
so.
Unfortunately, their starting quarterback got hurt in the first half of the first game. Hetrick had that experience at quarterback. He set a record sophomore year for passing yards in the season. He gets thrown back in there. He's done a wonderful job. This game this week, I know you're excited about Punxsutawney and Karn City. That's really going to be a great test for both teams because Karn City, it's Karn City. Everyone knows what they like to do. They've been doing the same thing for like 3 decades. But every year they find a little bit of a wrinkle in it, and they have a quarterback in Johnston who he's like a magician out there. He had a number of runs a couple of weeks ago where no one knew he had the ball until he was 20 yards down the field. So that's going to be a big thing in this game, too.
And they're two very similar teams, too. They can run, they can throw if they need to. And I think you're going to see those two quarterbacks are going to be interesting to see how they go about it. But the defenses, too. I think both of them are very talented. And how they're going to be able to stop each other is also going to be the thing. Because I was looking at some of the points against, and Punxsy's given up 69 points, and Karn City's only given up 83 points.
Yeah,
so
most of that came against Du Bois, too.
So you take away that Du Bois game, I was looking.
Yeah, 56 against Du Bois.
Yeah, so, so I just think that has all the makings of what really could be something special.
Yeah, and they get to play twice this year. This is the first time they play. They get to play again in Punxsutawney later in the year because of the weird schedule. Punxsutawney has 2 games like that. They play Du Bois twice. They already beat them once. You get to play them again. And they got Karn City here. Punxsutawney, this is the second game in a 3-game stretch that is just brutal, and they've already won 2 of them, or one of them, and they're hoping to win 2 of them this week, and next week they got Du Bois again. So they're going to learn a lot about themselves.
Yeah, and they learned a lot last week. I'll tell you what, against Central Clarion. I know Central Clarion, they graduated a lot of guys last year, but they're coming back. They still have talent on that team, and that game last week was close for a while. But that was a gut check for them last week too, because that was a game they really wanted. Last year they came in against a really good Central Clarion team, and they hung close early on, but the guns were just too much last year. But boy, that was something, and I think was real special for them to get that win. I know that was one that was on there, and I'm sure they put a star beside it because they said, we really want that one, and you could tell afterwards that was something real special for them.
Yeah, we got Karn City 2 straight weeks on our game of the week. This week at home against Punxsutawney, next week at home against Central Clarion. We kind of talked a little bit about Central Clarion. They're 1-3, but if there's ever been this misleading 1-3, this might be it. The 3 teams that they've lost to are undefeated. They're all 4-0. 2 state runner-ups in that. If you're Central Clarion, right, you can't be too panicky right now, right?
Yeah, there's really nothing. Talked to Coach Eggleton last week after the game, and he was actually really pleased with how his defense played. That's, like we already talked about, that's a very good Punxsutawney offense. And he said he thought the energy was much better than it has been, and I think you could kind of see that watching the game. But it's a team that's still kind of trying to find their identity on offense. Last year they passed the ball a lot more, and they kind of got passing more involved last week, but I think they're really starting to find a good 1-2 punch in the backfield with Rex and Love. Love there the last 2-3 weeks, he's had, I think, 50, 60 so yards, and I know the Keystone game and then the Port game, he had 2 20 to 30 yard touchdown runs. So, I mean, they're really starting to kind of figure out the run game for sure, and like I said, they're starting to kind of get back into the passing game. I know Burford got a few more targets that, he's used to seeing, and I think they're starting to figure things out.
Well, they couldn't have been the same team that they were last year. Look at who they lost. Jace Ferguson, Kerr on the offensive line. I mean, just those 2 alone are generational players, once-in-a-generation players that you just don't replace those guys. So I know they had high expectations, and everyone has high expectations of them. But again, if you couple what they lost with their schedule, I mean, you can't really quibble too much about what they've been able to do. They've still done a lot of great things this year.
They have, and I'll tell you, where we've seen Central Clarion be very effective, and I think that was this past week against Punxsutawney, but even against Port Allegheny, and I think it's what helped keep that Port Allegheny game close, especially through the 3 quarters, was when they went to they slowed the game down a little bit, they went to the run game, and then every now and then they would keep the defense honest, and they would just have Hyman through that short little out pass, and then they would go right back to the run again. And they were really effective with that. Their line grew a little bit of confidence, and they moved the ball well. They get 4 or 5 yards on first down. They get a couple yards on a second down. They'd maybe dink that little pass out and pick up that first down, and then they would go right back to the run. And they marched down the field a couple times like that and scored. They did that against Punxsutawney several times in the ball game, and it was really effective. And it'll be interesting to see. Especially, I know this week they have Brockway, when they go down against Karn City, how they go about that. And I think that may be a very effective thing to do against Karn City with that football team.
Yeah, this week they do go to Brockway. Brockway lost to Punxsutawney week 1, 31-0. But as we find out now, that loss wasn't as bad now as it looked at the time, because of the way Punxsutawney's been playing since then. Brockway's played a lot better. That's going to be another whale of a game this week up in Vercetti Field.
Brockway, like you said, the 3-1 record, but that week 1 game, I think we're kind of all finding out that Punxsutawney team, they're legit.
Yeah.
And but Brockway, they had a big win against Redbank, and it seems to me like on the defensive side, Decker, he's having a big year. I mean, multiple sacks, multiple tackles for loss. I think they're kind of really leaning on that defensive front to hold things down for them. Patton, he hasn't done anything he isn't able to do.
Right.
You know, it's kind of the same scenario with Union and AC Valley. He's doing what he's asked, and I think it makes Brockway potentially a good team where you can't go into the week thinking, you know, this is our game. You have to prepare for them very well.
Well, back at the D9 Media Day, I talked to Maddox Decker and Brockway, and they were expecting this. He had a big year last year, 13 sacks last year. They were expecting more from him this year, and he's delivered. And when you have a guy who can rush the passer, when you can make life difficult on a high school quarterback, it could change the complexion of a game in a hurry. They get happy feet, they get nervous, and all of a sudden you turn a really good quarterback into a skittish one looking over his shoulder, and he makes mistakes. That's what Brockway's been able to do as they've been able to find kind of their footing offensively, because they did start out slow offensively, but you knew it with Patton, you knew with some of the guys they have on offense, they have some dangerous receivers, Doherty, that they were going to come around offensively, and they have. So Central Clarion probably wishes they would have played them a couple weeks ago, because they're going in and playing a hot team.
Get into the groove,
Yeah, a hot team right now. I think are we about ready for another break? We probably are. But until then, we'll talk one more thing before we go to the next break. Redbank Valley, they're 2-2. They've struggled a little bit defensively this year, but I think they found something last week. They found a running game, which they needed to find because of the little bit injury to Braylon Wagner, who, by the way, congrats to Braylon Wagner. He went over 100 career touchdown passes last week.
Fantastic.
Very good quarterback for years there. But they found a little bit something there in the running game. They were pretty much split 31 passes, 31 runs. If they can do that, that's going to protect that defense a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely, and that's one of those things. And I think they were searching for something that they could kind of rest their laurels on, you know, and uncharacteristic for a Red Bank team to kind of start the year like they did. But you know they're going to get things back together. Coach Gold down there, they're never going to hang their heads. That's one of those things. It's always like look into next week, and then you know what's the next challenge we're going to have. So you can never count them out. That's one thing about down there. You know,
yeah, and they got Port, who they lost to twice last year, gave up a lot of points. I know that was a sticking point for them. They had it in their locker room, so they're motivated for this game. You know, if you want to call it a trap game, I don't think you can really call it a trap game, because I still think Redbank and Port could be a good game this week. Yeah. But man, Port's probably sweating this one a little bit because they know the history. They know Redbank. You can't count out the Bulldogs in a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely not. You know, Braylon Wagner, with the experience he has, especially in big games, you know, it's any given week for him, you can see 6-7 touchdown passes. You just never know.
5 last week.
Yeah, and you know,
when he was banged up.
You come into a game planning to kind of stick with Jackson Huffman. You know, he's been a star on the offensive side this year. But I think one of the fun stories this year out of Red Bank has been freshman Jace Clouser. He's had a very good beginning to the season, and I think he's kind of getting into that second wide receiver role that Red Bank was kind of coming into the season searching for, and he's done a good job fulfilling that. And being another young freshman, he's something that I think Coach Gold down there is going to have a lot to look forward with.
And Jackson Huffman, you mentioned him, just a phenomenal player. He can do so many things for them. Last year, he actually moved the left tackle one game in a pinch, like basically a couple days before the game, because their normal starting linemen were hurt, and they said, "Hey, Jackson, we need you to play here." He's like, "All right, give me a 71 jersey, let me go out there and play tackle," and he played great. But Huffman this year, he's like a fly trap, just snacking, just reaching out and snagging balls out of the air. He's fun to watch too, because he can make some great catches. I'm trying to call up their stats because there's an interesting stat I want to bring up. They came into last week with 148 yards rushing for the whole season, right? And last week they more than doubled that. Colwell last week rushed for almost 200 yards, 181 yards last week. If they can get that out of him, a junior who wasn't the starting running back when the season started, he kind of pops in there now, and he's a starting running back and coming off of a big week. What a great story he is to be able to come up and step up the way he did for that team. And now you might see teams not going to be able to play those soft coverage shells that they've been doing against Redbank. They're on the run and knowing they can stop it with 3-4 down linemen. wow, if they can get that going, it might not matter, who they're playing and what's going on going forward.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too next week, or this Friday night coming up, with Port coming in, especially for Redbank is, and I think Clarion was able to do that too, to hang close. You can't fall behind early, because again, they're still getting things together. The run games are working for them, but they can't fall behind a couple touchdowns early or anything, because they don't want to start fighting from behind, because Port's get one of those teams. You fall behind a couple touchdowns, they can take that clock. Man, I'll tell you, I know during that game down there, and that first quarter just went, and it was gone.
Yep.
So that's the big thing, for Redbank. And I'm sure, and I know Coach Gould's talked about it. He says, guys, that's the thing. We just have to go out there and make sure that we just don't fall behind. That's the
Redbank was actually able to do that last week. They went on a big 7-8 minute drive, 95-yard drive right down the field, mostly runs.
Yep.
So that might be their secret weapon this week. If you can keep
Aiden
Aiden Bliss off the field, the longer you can
100%.
keep him off the field, the better off you're going to be.
That's what you got to do.
Well, I think we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some players that we liked watching, that we can't wait to see the rest of the year, some games that we're looking forward to seeing here in the second half of the season, and whatever else we want to talk about. So when we come back to the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet, we'll talk more football. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name is Jason, and welcome to Sweet Basil. Come on in.
This game is brought to you by Tionesta Builders? No, Tionesta Builder Supply. Family-owned and operated home improvement centers located in Tionesta and Shippenville. At First United National Bank Freiburg, the Fun Bank, we're more than a bank. We're your neighbor. From savings to home loans, we help you grow right where you belong. Stop in today and feel the difference at the Fun Bank.
NPRC helps me with the flexibility of the class times. I'm able to balance work, our hobbies of racing, and our family time in general with being able to take classes when it's convenient for me.
Affordable opportunities are endless at Northern Pennsylvania Regional College. If you're looking to start next semester or next year, apply now at discovernprc.org. discovernprc.org.
Redbank Chevrolet, Clarion County's trusted vehicle dealer. At Redbank Chevrolet, we're more than just a dealership. We're your neighbors, your go-to team for everything Chevy. From the moment you walk through our doors, we're here to exceed your expectations with unbeatable service, great selection, and a fun car buying experience. Stop by or schedule your visit today. Together, let's drive.
Since 1946, we've delivered. From commercial to residential, we've got you covered. We proudly serve and support our local communities. Call 844-DEW-BROOK or visit us online. DEW-BROOK, your trusted ready-mix concrete supplier.
Good luck to all of our area teams from Clarion Ford Chrysler.
Local sales team. Local owners.
And remember to buy local at Clarion Ford Chrysler, where all your money stays to the local community.
At Clarion Forest VNA, we bring compassionate care to your doorstep. From skilled nursing to hospice services, we're here for you and your loved ones. Clarion Forest VNA, your trusted partner in home health care. Modern Living Solutions in Knox is always on the lookout for driven, positive individuals to join their team. They offer career growth opportunities and industry-leading pay. No experience is necessary as training is provided. Apply today and build a future with Modern Living Solutions.
You can afford a gorgeous custom-designed hardwood Kales kitchen for a lot less than you'd pay at a DIY store. Go to FactoryDirectKitchens.net. At Kales, there are never middleman markups or hidden charges that can add 40%. Go to FactoryDirectKitchens.net. That's FactoryDirectKitchens.net.
For over 50 years, Carly Tire in Clarion has been keeping you rolling with quality tires for all your driving needs. And now, we're more than just tires. From state inspections to oil changes to brakes and total car care, Carly Tire is your one-stop shop to keep your vehicle safe and running smooth. Experience hometown service you can trust and quality you can count on. Carly Tire, the area's largest selection of tires. Stop in today and see why Clarion has trusted us for over 50 years.
Our focus has always been on you at Clarion County Community Bank. We're a full-service bank that offers the financial tools you need and the personal attention you deserve. You'll discover we're not just investing in our community, we're investing in you. Clarion County Community Bank.
Eyes are the window to your soul, so take care of them. The Laurel Eye Clinic provides complete care from annual exams, glasses and contacts to cataract and retinal surgery, LASIK and more. As a trusted leader in family eye care for 50 years, you can trust them with yours. Call or visit us online today.
Need reliable plumbing or heating services? Call Luton's Plumbing and Heating. Fast, friendly, and available 24/7. Call them at 814-226-8695.
And welcome back to the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet in Dubrook. Mike Kilroy, Brock Jordan, Mike Kalinowski. Well, we had a great conversation last segment. This segment is focused on a few players. I know through our travels that we see a lot of players, and some of them stick out in our heads as guys that we love watching, that other people love watching, that are head and shoulders, kind of the best of the best in the county. Brock, who are some of those guys for you that you've seen so far this year and have really kind of excited you about high school football?
You know, at the games that I've been at personally, it's been a Maddox Hetrick. It's been a, Ethan Rex has had a big year. The 1-2 punch of Gallagher and Skabinski. Obviously, they're fun to watch. And, Redbank, you're always watching out for Huffman. But, give some of these other guys some love. We talked about Union, AC Valley, their offensive line. That's a fun group to watch, especially defense, too. I mean,
yeah.
At Central Clarion, Charlie Hepful, he's everywhere on the field. Just some of those guys that, don't always have to have the ball in their hands to make some plays. Hayden Hyman down there on the line for Central Clarion, he produced, especially, we heard his name quite a bit at the Port Allegheny game and the Punxsutawney game the last 2 weeks. So just some of those guys, they've been fun to watch. I know Dom Corsetti from Keystone, which I think we'll get into Keystone a little bit here in a little bit.
But Keystone has a lot of fun guys.
Oh, absolutely. Then there's a little stat I have about them once we get there. But just some of those guys, they're fun to watch. They make, and Wingard from Du Bois. I haven't gotten a chance to really watch Du Bois this year, but if you're putting up 50 points a game, you have to be fun to watch. I can only imagine.
I saw Wingard against Carn City. He's one of the most impressive throwers of the football I've seen in a high school quarterback. Just effortless, flicks the ball 50-yard spiral down the field, puts it right on. He has two tremendous receivers, too. Really, a whole group of them, but two of them, the Hansley brothers, are big, tall targets, and he can throw it. He can make every throw that you would want to make. Mike, some of the players that you've seen through our broadcast and through over the years, and now you've seen them again, this year, every year, players get better and they come with a different toolbox full of skills. I know you're excited about a few guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had Port here with Bliss and Vayu. Bliss, man, he's one of those guys. I know toward the end of the Clarion game, they just started snapping it right to him, and he would just right up the gut. He's just one of those guys that can take over a ball game. Ethan Rex on Clarion's team, he's another guy that's electric. I mean, he's one that can take over and go. Burford, of course, too, with the wide out, he can do a lot of things. On the line, too, Heineman, offensively, but defensively, boy, he can play well. He can make a difference. We saw him block a couple passes, I think, here, I know last week against Punxsutawney. You mentioned Corsetti. I was also thinking
Eli Nellis.
Nellis over there.
And they have a couple really good defensive players, and Joey Spence, and Jacob Henry, who they just flow to the football. They're fun to
we saw
watch
Spence
defensively.
saw him make some great catches too. I know in a couple of the other games we've done over there at Keystone. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent. We've seen a lot of great guys. Punxsutawney with Hetrick and with Rattan.
And they have a great
Lloyd.
kicker, Punxsutawney. I failed to mention that when we were talking about Punxsutawney, about how that could be an X factor. It already was an X factor. We already saw what a great kicker
And I'm
can
trying
do
to
for
remember
you.
his name right now. It's right here. I have to look at. That's terrible, isn't it?
They have guys like Bo Thomas and Moore.
He's tough.
Yeah, Logan Moore.
Yeah.
For me, I love watching quarterbacks. I love watching Cole Johnson from Kern City because of everything he can do. He's got a good arm. He can run. And that offense they run is a lot based on deception. I just love his ball handling skills, his fakes, his run fakes. He carries every fake out like he's got the ball, which is, I think, what helps that offense run. And he's a great kid to talk to. He loves football. He loves sports. He's a great basketball player. He just loves. So I love watching guys like that play.
And it's funny because I actually taught his dad at Clarion Limestone.
Yeah.
And his dad was a lineman. He didn't move like his son. His son can move.
Yeah.
He's probably watching now going,
yep.
I'll see him at the game. He'll be like, Mr. K.
Yeah.
But no, he's a really good athlete down there. He's really, really good.
Yeah. Cole Johnson's one of the best athletes you're ever going to find. And speaking of really good athletes, I know you want to talk about Keystone a little bit. I want to talk about Dom Corsetti a little bit. Just an amazing skill set he has on both sides of the ball. He can throw the ball. He's a really, really dangerous runner. He's a hard-nosed runner. He'll put his head down and bowl you over around the ball. He doesn't run like a quarterback. And at safety, he comes up on run support and just lays licks on people. Eli Nellis is fun to watch too. He was on his way to a big year last year until he had that injury that really, don't want to make a pun, but hamstrung them last year. But he's back and he's healthy. You saw what he did last week. He had a big week last week. But we had some stuff you want to talk about Keystone. Another team that we have a lot of really good teams this year, especially in single A. Keystone's one of them. They're a very good, solid, all-around team.
Yeah, and you talk about that with Keystone. Their two losses, they're just a couple plays away from being a 4-0 team. Union was a one-possession game, and then Central Clarion, that was a one-possession game up until I think six, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's like I said, they're just a few plays away from being another 4-0 team that we're talking about here. But I think one of the most interesting things about Keystone is they love to run the ball, especially Corsetti. But when they do pass the ball, there's no. I mean, you have Nellis, you have your Henrys, but there's no real X factor target for him, and he spreads the ball out accordingly. And one of the things I found, if my math is correct here, just around 30 completed passes or so, 4 different guys on that team have 5 or more receptions. So that's 20 of your 30 completions that are to 4 different guys. I mean, you don't necessarily find that in high school football, especially around here, some of the smaller schools. So I just think that makes them, including their defense, just a very interesting team to watch. And like I said, they're a team that could have easily been 3-1, 4-0. That it's just you'll have to keep your eye on them as the season goes on.
And their line, their offensive line. We always seem to circle back to the lines because that's always a determining factor in how good a team's going to be, especially in high school. Last year, they were really uncertain about that line. They were young, they were thin. I know talking to Coach Todd Smith, he was really kind of on the edge of his seat, gnashing his teeth, wringing his hands every week. Don't let anyone get hurt. Don't let anyone get hurt. If we get a mass rash of injuries up front, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. That didn't happen for them. But what happened was all those guys got a lot of great experience. They turned into really good, solid offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Now this year, you're seeing the fruits of that. They're a very polished, very experienced group. They have some depth. And they allow the guy Dom Corsetti's, Eli Nellis's, the Jacob Henry's, those other guys that you mentioned who had all those receptions, do their work. And that team, no one wants to play that team going forward. There's a lot of teams no one wants to play on a lot of these schedules, and that's definitely one of them. What other, I was kind of switching. We have, a full broadcast schedule this year. We have Kern City a couple times this week. Obviously, they're a team worth watching. But what other games on our slate are you guys excited about?
I know you had some written down there, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the Keystone Redbank game has potential to be one of possibly the games of the year, I think. I mean, Obviously, we already talked about your Karnes City and Punxsutawney this week, and then they get to play again, Central Clarion, Karnes City. I also had down here Central Clarion Du Bois, and the reason I have that one written down is Central Clarion's defense has really stepped up. It's not very often you hold a team like Port Allegheny to, I think it was 27, 28 points. That's something that's really been unheard of the last 2 years with Port Allegheny. So I'm interested to see if they can hold that Du Bois team to a low-scoring affair, too. Punxsutawney Du Bois, that was a shootout the first time, and I think it could be, I think it could make for another great game in their rematch. And then the last game, Brockway Keystone, I think there's potential there to be a fun game to watch as well.
Yeah, Mike, what are some of the games that you kind of see?
I think this week, of course, Punxsutawney. And if you're not going to watch this week, at least record it or go back to YouTube and watch it. Because it's going to be a good one, Punxsutawney and Karnes City, because that's just going to be a classic one, I think. Central Clarion and Karnes City too, because there's two teams last year. Karnes City kind of got blown out in the regular season with Central Clarion, but in that championship game, they played them tough, and I think Karnes City has put a star beside that game this year, saying, "Boy, that's a game that they really want." But I think also Central Clarion's put a little star there and said, hey, this is a game that we want to get and put kind of get us back on track too. So in a couple weeks when we're back down there, I think that's going to be a real big one for them. I think both teams have, their, the ideas behind the game for each of those teams, and I think that's going to be big. And I like that one when you talked about Keystone or Redbank Valley. I think that has a lot to it. I think. That could really be good because both teams too, again, I think both teams are really evenly matched. Both teams do some of the similar things, so that could be really good as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the two Karnes City Punxsutawney games. Those are going to be two really, really competitive, exciting games to watch because I think those two teams really match up well together.
Yep.
And it's going to be exciting. I'm also kind of curious to see what Central Clarion and Butler do in Week 10.
That's true.
Central Clarion last year, the only team in the state that played a team from all 6 divisions. They're doing it again this year, I think. So we'll be back. We'll take a break. We'll be back. We'll talk a little bit more, and we'll go from there. So this is the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet in Dubrook, and we'll talk a little bit more when we get back.
Hi, my name is Jason, and welcome to Sweet Basil. Come on in.
Yeah, those are.
I think the Euchre.
This game is brought to you by Tionesta Builders. No, Tionesta Builder Supply. Family owned and operated home improvement centers located in Tionesta and Shippenville. At First United National Bank Freiburg, the Fun Bank, we're more than a bank. We're your neighbor. From savings to home loans, we help you grow right where you belong. Stop in today and feel the difference at the Fun Bank.
NPRC helps me with the flexibility of the class times. I'm able to balance work, our hobbies of racing, and our family time in general with being able to take classes when it's convenient for me.
Affordable opportunities are endless at Northern Pennsylvania Regional College. If you're looking to start next semester or next year, apply now at discovernprc.org. discovernprc.org.
Redbank Chevrolet, Clarion County's trusted vehicle dealer. At Redbank Chevrolet, we're more than just a dealership. We're your neighbors, your go-to team for everything Chevy. From the moment you walk through our doors, we're here to exceed your expectations with unbeatable service, great selection, and a fun car buying experience. Stop by or schedule your visit today. Together, let's drive.
Since 1946, we've delivered. From commercial to residential, we've got you covered. We proudly serve and support our local communities. Call 844-DUBROOK or visit us online. Dubrook, your trusted ready-mix concrete supplier.
Welcome back to the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet and Dubrook. Mike Kalinowski, Brock Jordan, and me, myself, and Mike Kilroy. Really quick here before we go and get ready for our games this week and the rest of the season. Gotta love what Montauk's doing. We haven't talked about Montauk yet. We have to talk about Montauk. They have 2 shutout wins. They're coming off an 0-10 season. They've shuffled some things around. New coaching staff came in, guys who played for them back in the early 2000s, hard-nosed guys, hard-nosed teams. They're turning that team into a hard-nosed team. Brendan Sankey's had a great year moving the running back. They were just tired of losing. You can see that even against Carson City. They went out and played them tough. They ended up losing by a good bit, but they competed and 2 shutouts this year. I mean, you gotta love to see a program trying to rebuild and having a little bit of success this year.
Montauk, in the past, I mean, they were one of the more successful teams if you go back years, and it was kind of shocking when they kind of fell off the radar. And it's so nice to see them back, and I hope that they continue to build because that was just a tradition down there. And it was like when you went to Montauk, it was like almost getting to the end of the earth, not quite there yet, right? You went
Well, it
down
feels
there,
like it when you're watching the game there. It feels like you're on the end of the earth.
It's kind of the neatest place to go.
Oh, it's the greatest place to watch football.
Yeah, and we always
up top,
down
you see
there.
especially in the fall, you see the leaves.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to see them doing well again, and I hope that these kids continue to buy into the program and they continue to build and be successful. And I hope those guys hang in there too. And I'm going to say it, and I hope the school is patient and allows them to do the things they need to do, because so often you see, we see it all the time where the schools and the boards and stuff are like, we're going to change, we're going to move on. No, let them go. Let them do, because they're having success.
Well,
and it takes time. It takes years. It takes 3, 4 years, 5 years. Let them go.
The first thing they did, the first thing they had to do, was get those kids in the weight room.
Yep.
They had great participation in the weight room. They got stronger, bigger, faster, and also they had to change the headspace.
Yep.
When you lose like that, it's hard to stay positive. They're staying positive. District 10, let's talk about them a little bit. Oil City, having a really good year. Ethan Knox was there. Yeah, Ethan Knox was there. He had a great career. He left. A little bit of growing pains trying to switch gears from him to now. They're throwing the ball a little bit more. They got another running back who's putting up some numbers. They're 3-1. They just beat Meadville. I know you've done some research and talked to them a little bit. Big things happening for the Oilers.
Yeah, they have that co-op with Cranberry. Cole Finley playing quarterback there, done really well this year.
Great athlete.
Yes, absolutely. I've watched him some in basketball, and I know just what he's capable of athletically. And it's one of those teams that all you've heard from them the last few years is run, 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 run. I know you talked about Ethan Knox. And don't get me wrong with them throwing where they haven't gotten away from the run game. I mean, their running back is still averaging over 100 yards a game. He's got 6 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, it's a team that is kind of, I think, surprising some people in District 10. I think, there were some people thinking there may be still another kind of retooling, rebuilding. Yeah. But I think they've really turned some heads this year when it comes to not necessarily succeeding expectations, but I think they're right around maybe a little higher than what people thought.
Maybe they're a half a season ahead of maybe their projections. They're always hard-nosed teams there. They're always, they're Oil City. They're kind of like what Carson City is. Everyone kind of knows what Oil City is. And they're doing it their way again this year.
Well, they're kind of hard knock areas, right? Economy kind of hit them hard in different times, industrial areas. And it's just those expectations. It's working class people. They always work hard. They expect the best out of you no matter what. And that's how Oil City's always been. Franklin's kind of that way too. Titusville up there, the Rockets and all that. And it's just good to see the Oilers back at it. And we'll have to see. Beating Meadville's a big thing. And as the season goes on, we'll have to see how they do.
Well, have fun, guys, this week at Carson City. 2 straight weeks you get to go to Carson City. Carson City, by the way, great place to go. They always take care of us really well there. Thank you, Chris Bellis and the whole administration there at Carson City. Always feel welcome there. Always love going there. Always have great teams to go see there. And we're going to have 2 great games back-to-back weeks there. So thanks again, Carson City. And thanks for joining us on the Main Street Sports Show, sponsored by Redbank Chevrolet and Dubrook. And can't wait to see what happens, guys, here in the next 6 or so weeks. Playoffs, before you know it, are going to be here. we're going to have it all for you here on EYT and Explore Sports. So thanks again for joining us.